Hey everyone, Kevin Richards here from RockTheStageNYC.com with another free live to YouTube upload. So I'm sorry if I make a couple of stumbles here. I'm not editing this. So what we're going to talk about here is phonation, or the onset of sound, and some ways that you can kind of start training that. If you're someone who tends to have a lot of strain or tension here in the neck when you try to kind of get a nice connected sound. What we'll do is we're going to talk about something called onsets, which is the onset of sound, which is the initiation of sound as breath passes through the vocal cords. A really great kind of very technical video on this was done by my good friend Robert Lunte, called the 6 Special Onsets. Most of them are designed for teaching purposes, for his associate teachers, if they're having trouble with their students getting a really nice grabbed or connected sound. He's got all these different kind of onsets that you can try with your student to get them to kind of connect their sound. If you're into all that kind of Voc Geek stuff, head on over to Robert Lunte's channel and check that out. It's kind of long, it's like 20 minutes, but it's good stuff. What I'm going to concentrate on here is just like 3 of them really that are really a bit more prevalent in singing. The first one I'm going to get to is actually one in Rob's 6 Special Onsets, which he calls the wind and release, which is a vocal onset that I turned him on to, that I use with my students in getting them to kind of not tense in the throat so much. And that's basically taking what your throat and your vocal cords does as you breathe in, which is relax and open. When you take in a breath, mostly through your nose with your mouth slightly open, your throat relaxes, your vocal cords open wide as the glottis. It opens wide to allow that onrush of air to come in, unobstructed, nothing in its way. That's how we breathe. What we want to do is on the exhale out for sound, we want to stay in that very open, kind of yawning, or just very open, relaxed throat sound, and initiate sound with a breath first, and then get the vocal cords to kind of wrap around it. Because the secret to proper phonations and not straining up here is to sing out the way your body is designed to make sound. And that's breath first through the vocal cords, and then the vocal cords close around that exhale. When people have strain, what they're doing is they're trying to close this first and then breathe into that. And what you end up with is basically air smacking into closed vocal cords. And that creates tension. Or they're trying to wrap, pardon me, as they're breathing out, they're trying to kind of physically close their vocal cords around the air, when actually that air going through the vocal cords is actually sucking those vocal cords together. They do it all by themselves. You don't have to help them out. So I'm going to get to the first one, which is what Rob calls the wind and release, or I call it basically the breathe and release. And that is basically taking your breath in, and when you go to sing out, visualize in your head that you're about to do an H, a sound. And that will keep the vocal cords open, because when we do an H sound, everything is relaxed. So you go to, and then try to make sound as you breathe out. Ha, ha, ha. And if you think of it as a laugh, ha, 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 you've got the idea. Ha, 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 ha. Air through first. Ha, 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 ha. And the air comes together after the air is, the vocal cords come together after the air is already going through. And getting this, the wind to come first, the air to come through, the exhale first, we're engaging the support muscles at the waistline, like how you breathe out. And then we're wrapping the vocal cords around that breath. Ha, ha, ha. And take that and go up and down on a very simple scale, like say a 5-tone scale. Ha, 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 ha. Each one gets a little breath of air. Ha, 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 ha. Now you're not breathing in between those notes. It's too quick. One single air, but you're kind of stopping and giving each one a little compression. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha 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 ha. Now it's to stay light. Don't try to grab this and make a big sound of it. That's not the point. So when you're going up higher, ha 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 ha. Very light, very as I call it, a kind of clown horn sound. Ha 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 ha. Kind of a squeaker sound. Ha 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 ha. And that's how it should sound. Ha. And you're getting this very medial chord, just inner edge of the vocal cord sound. It's very light. It's very relaxed, though. And that brings us to the second one, is we want to take that second onset, which is now, we're going to take that wind onset and try to create a swell out of it, what I call a swell and release, or a swelling onset. What we're going to do is we're going to try to take that H sound and try to make it shorter and shorter before the sound appears. The first one we're doing, ha, 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 we're letting a lot of air out and then slowly closing the vocal cords around it. What we want to do is we want to take that H sound and shorten it, make it quicker and quicker. Ha, 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 ha. If you get it quick enough, you really don't hear it. Ha, 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 ha. Now it sounds basically like a fully voiced sound right away, but you're actually doing a slight little silent H before that sound. It's just very quick, and you don't hear it. Ha, 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 ha. And we can start to add a little more compression, a little more air, make a tiny bigger sound out of it, but you're still getting the vocal cords to close after the sound is initiated. Ha, 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 ha. It keeps it all very light, very relaxed. Then we go for the full-voiced one, which I call the kind of snap and release, a snapping onset. It's not a glottal attack. A glottal attack is when you close the vocal cords first and then breathe into that closed vocal cord. And you kind of get this smacking of air. And then the vocal cords are suddenly blown open. And you get this kind of barking, oh, 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 kind of sound. You get this kind of barking sound, or a sea lion, a sea otter kind of bark. Oh, oh, oh. You get a dog bark sound. What we want to do is get this snapping onset, but lightly. And we do this by saying the words, uh-oh. If you make that a nice, deep, resonating uh-oh, 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 you flex from your support muscles first. If you're doing it lightly, uh-oh, you're just closing the vocal cords and you're basically doing a vocal fry. Uh-oh. If you do it from the bottom, uh-oh, and try to make it deep, you're going to flex the support muscles first. And we're not going to get a glottal attack. It's going to be air first through, and then the vocal cords around. It's a blink of an eye difference between the air going and the vocal cords closing. So you really can't feel it, but you are initiating air first. And you can see no tension on my face, no tension in my neck. It's very light, very what they call medial cord closure, or inner edge of the vocal cord sound. Ma, 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 ma. And that's the speech level singing kind of thing, does this with mum, mum, mum. You don't need the M. And this is just 3 ways that you can start attacking tension in the throat. If you're someone who tends to grip a lot and go, that means you're trying to squeeze the vocal cords by themselves and then breathing into that. And you can't. It creates too much pressure, too much compression, and the vocal cords basically just get slammed together. They get sucked together and they can't open. That's why you get this kind of gripping sound, a strangled sound. What we want to do is initiate air first. And you get this kind of swelling effect of We can do that with a Y as well. If you go, yeah, 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 yeah. In classical training, they use Y, the letter Y, a lot because the Y, yeah, initiates that swelling effect. And they go, yeah, yeah, oh, you. It creates this very nice little, very soft, swelling connection between sounds. You don't have to use the Y. If you get the idea of it going, yeah, 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 and you can hear it swell in. If you get that swell quick enough, you can't hear it. Yeah, 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 yeah. And it just sounds like a nice burst of sound. There's also, I'll go into a fourth one here, and that's kind of the fry or the cry and release. And this is something that's very prevalent. Someone who uses it a lot to his advantage is Bono from U2. He uses it a lot. He does this kind of, I want to run, I want to hide. He uses this kind of sob. And it's a, and that sounds like, a car that can't start in the morning. I want to run, I want to hide, I want to break down these walls. It's very easy to do. That's another way to kind of get that very light closure first and get out of straining in your face. As my first and best vocal teacher ever told me, when you're vocalizing, make sure you're in front of a mirror so that you can see your face. And you should have a poker face. No tells. It should look like a statue with a mouth open. That means this is relaxed, and the machine, as I call it, the vocal mechanism, is working in sync and it's balanced. So try these 3, possibly 4, onsets in your technique training. If you're someone who tends to strain a lot in trying to get sounds together, initiating sounds, if you tend to have too much tension here, work on these kind of the H sound and the Y sound, so that air is first and the vocal cords close second. Okay? Till next time, this is Kevin Richards from rocktostagenyc.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Read your comments below. Head on over to rocktostagenyc.com. Sign up for the newsletter where I do other stuff like this that I don't put here on YouTube. Till next time, Kevin Richards. See ya.